Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mornings with the Focus. As always, just a reminder, you guys tune in, hit the comment section, join the conversation, steer the conversation if you like as well. Um, you guys know how this goes. Gonna start with the NBA playoffs, and after that, depends on you guys. See where we go with this morning's conversation. But we had two good games last night. We'll start in the Eastern Conference. Put this stuff up real quick. All right, the Celtics, they used a 14-2 fourth quarter run to take last night's game four and even up the series at two apiece. Boston won the fourth quarter 43-28. Al Horford is pretty much the story here. Al never gets enough credit, but he's been great this season in the second go round with Boston. Last night, however, he erupted for a 30-point performance on 11 of 14 shooting, knocking down five of his seven attempts from deep, along with doing everything else that Horford brings to the table. He even saw a bit of emotion from him. You notice pictures right after the Giannis went down the lane and dunked, and stared down at Horford, and Horford essentially made the latest meme version of "all right, bet." Tatum also added 30 points and 13 rebounds, rebounded from a poor game three offensively. Giannis finished with 34 points and 18 rebounds, but the Bucks shot just 41% from the floor and 33 from deep, compared to Boston's 50% from the floor, and they shot 37 from range. However, that number is inflated because of the type of fourth quarter the Celtics had. Boston was shooting 40% after three quarters of play from the floor, so they were right there with the Bucks. The fourth quarter is what separated. The fourth quarter is what brought their averages up, both shooting from the floor and from three. They shot 16 and 19 from the floor in the fourth quarter. Um, they were really going on the offensive end. Things shift back to Boston for game five, and essentially now as each team has won a game on their opponent's home court, it's a best of three series the rest of the way. Just quote from Al Horford. I don't really know what he said to me, but the way he was looking at me and the way he was going about it didn't really sit well with me at that point. I think just something switched with me in the game. And yeah, that was the other thing. You hardly ever see emotion from Al Horford. You saw it in spades last night. And if there was anybody on that team where, give them an unexpected emotional lift, it's when the guy who doesn't, it's when the most steadiest guy on the roster for the most part, you know, outwardly shows the fire he plays with. And clearly that got his team going. Drew Holiday had this to say after the game. Al had a hell of a game. I think we came down and had some shots we usually make. We couldn't finish those, but give them credit. They made more plays. Yeah. Drew didn't shoot well from the field. Again, if they shot 41% as a from the floor as a team, it wasn't just Drew. They also had an injury to Pat Connaughton, which, depending on the status of him of that injury, it's gonna affect Milwaukee quite a bit. They're already missing some of their size on the wing with Middleton. They probably can't afford to lose Connaughton because after that they get a little bit smaller. And we know on the perimeter, that's where Boston has most of their size. Um, it's going to truly impact this series the rest of the way, depending on Connaughton's status health wise. But it was a good game. These two teams have been going at it this entire series, and this is a crazy thing, man. Is competitive as all these series have been on both sides, both the Eastern and Western sides of the bracket. This is only round two. I know we said that last round. Getting some quality postseason basketball is just round two. On to the nightcap, the Grizzlies. They're missing John Morant last night, but for three quarters, Memphis did everything you can do as a road team in the playoffs to put yourself in a great position to take a game. Um, they slowed the pace of the game. They harassed Golden State with their defense. They forced 16 turnovers, 11 of which came in the first half. Um, they also had the fortune of, a combination between them playing good defense and the Warriors missing shots. The Warriors missed 50. The Golden State Warriors were 0 for 15 from deep at one point in this game. Again, 0 for 15. They held the Warriors to just 38 points in the first half. Like literally, the Grizzlies came out first half and they checked every single box. Excuse me. And then even in the third quarter, they continued to do so. They responded. You had a half court heave go in at the end of the third to give them some breathing room. To I think they gave them a 7-point lead heading into the fourth. Unfortunately, it would all mean nothing in the end as the Warriors scored 39 points in the fourth quarter. Again, they had 38 in the entire first half. They had 39 points in the fourth quarter. Steph scored 18 of his 32 in the final period. And the Warriors stole the game, just to be completely honest. They didn't fully deserve to win if you looked at how they played for the first three quarters. But, sometimes this is what it is when you play a team that's been here before, right? Memphis was led by Jaren Jackson Jr.'s 21 points. He was a menace defensively. We've seen what he's been on that end of the floor all year. He had 5 blocks last night. He did struggle shooting the ball from the floor a bit. We've seen him have some hot nights in the postseason, especially from deep. He missed all 7 of his 3-point attempts. Tyus Jones had 19 points. I thought he played a great floor game, stepping in for Ja. Kyle Anderson had a big game with 17 points and 8 rebounds. He went 7 to 8 from the floor. Memphis only turned the ball over 12 times. They had 11 blocks and 10 steals. Again, checking nearly every box as a road team in the postseason. A really clean game for 3 quarters, a very clean game. But you saw some of the youth and the inexperience in the fourth, and especially down the stretch, specifically with their shot selection late. But that's part of that's part of what comes with being a young team. Struggling to execute sometimes in late game situations. Being able to discern what's a good look, in the first 3 quarters, and what's a good look when you're trying to saw a game away. And that comes with experience. Young teams have to learn how to win in the postseason. They definitely have to learn, coming with learning how to win, that gives you experience and gives you some reference, gives you a reference point or several reference points when it comes to closing out championship caliber teams. The Grizzlies also had Dylan Brooks return from his Game 3 suspension. We all know why he got suspended from his action in Game 2. But he finished with 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists. As for Golden State, they stayed in this game because of their defense. While they were so inept offensively for much of this game, they held Memphis to 41% shooting from the floor and just 25% shooting from deep. That went a long way while you're trying to get your offense back on track against a good defensive team. Curry, mentioned earlier, finished with 32 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. Andrew Wiggins has been an unsung hero for the Warriors, especially when they've been playing small. Hasn't gotten too much credit for what he's brought to the table, but he's been pretty steady. Last night was another example of that. You almost don't really notice it, but he had 17 points and 10 rebounds. They needed every bit of that production from him. Thompson and Poole finished with 14 apiece, and then they got 12 points from Otto Porter, and Otto Porter was the person who ended the 3-point drought. He hit 4 of the team's 9 threes of the night. I think Steph had 4 as well, but they needed it. They needed every bit of what Otto, Andrew, Jordan gave them. Kevon Looney, 9 points last night as well. It was definitely needed. As for Draymond, he had one of those games, man. You look at the box, it was like, man, this dude only had 2 points again. But late in the game, he reminded everybody of his value. I think most people know what he brings to the table, but big late game situations on the defensive end. I don't know whether he blocked that last shot that Jaren Jackson took, but he definitely forced him to. He forced Jaren Jackson into a couple of bad shots um, down the stretch. This series heads back to Memphis for Game 5. We'll find out in the coming days if John Morant will be healthy enough to play in that game, and if the Warriors get their coach back. Steve Kerr missed last night's game due to a positive COVID test. Mike Brown stepped in as he has in the past, most notably like the 2017 run. Kerr was out due to health much of that run, and Mike Brown stepped in. I think so far he's undefeated in postseason play when he's had to step in and man the sideline for the Warriors. And also shout out to Mike Brown. The news broke that he has become the Kings' new head coach. Following this year's this postseason run from the Warriors. And Steph had this to say after the game. Was asked whether they figured something out in the fourth. He said nothing we figured out. It was just that it was just don't let the first 3 quarters influence the fact that we still had a chance to win the game. Shoot the shots you think you can make, play aggressive, take care of the ball. We did all those things. Again, just a veteran-laden team, escaped with a win, and just got to give credit to them for doing so. But they were kind of down bad for 3 quarters there. But yeah, the defense was huge. Give me 1 second. Know we got some games tonight. Let me go find these. Tell you guys what we're looking forward to this evening. As far as the NBA playoffs go. Tonight we got game 5s. We got a pair of game 5s. Philly and Miami at 7:30, Dallas and Phoenix at 10 p.m. Both of these teams in both of these series has been as simple as the home team has won. That's it. So someone's gonna have to win on each other on the other team's court at some point. Or, if this trend continues, the team that has home court advantage, they'll be advancing. We're gonna give you guys a couple minutes. If you guys wanted to jump here, any comments, anything you guys wanted to discuss before get out here for today. Just a reminder, we got Mystics Outlook later this evening. The Mystics are hosting the Aces, which should be a great game early in the WNBA season. This would be game 3 for Washington. Again, they're home tonight against the Aces, so we'll have Mystics Outlook later this evening for those of you who follow the Mystics. Be looking forward to talk with Cardell. He'll be at the game tonight. Then don't forget tomorrow morning. Obviously, we'll be here for Mornings with the Focus, but our weekly installment of the Focus TV drops tomorrow morning on our Roku channel, and we'll be airing Friday night on DCTV. So we got a lot to talk about in that regard. Obviously, we're going to talk some NBA playoffs with fellow co-hosts, talk some DC United, and more. So that's what we got going on this week. And don't see anything happening in the comment section at the moment. We will return tomorrow morning. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day. And again, we got Mystics Outlook later tonight. See some of you guys then.